In the young surahs, the small surahs, the short surahs, they are difficult for the students to understand. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ Allahu Samad is very difficult to understand. Samad is not easy thing to understand. شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ is very difficult for children to understand. So what is the wisdom behind teaching these verses to students when they are young? I'm raising this question to you and to many people who wrote books and to many people who developed curriculum. What is the wisdom behind? Someone would say that, are you saying that you want to make a revolution? Yes, I want to make a revolution in teaching. This is exactly my purpose. What's going on is going on in the wrong direction. If I were them, I would not begin with these ones. We already agreed that they can memorize them. So that's why, first of all, the curriculum should have some sections for memorization, some sections for understanding, and it depends whether for reading or not. So the students, while they are reciting many verses, can be, of course, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah An-Nas, Surah Al-Falaq, no problem, I said that. For children, it's no problem at all. But for understanding, I prefer the teachers, if they are brave enough, or the head of departments, right? They would be very selective. They would select the verses that would address how students learn. Children learn stories very well. They love to learn stories. So from my perspective, if we apply this rule, Surah Al-Fil would be very easy for children to learn. Surah Al-Masad would be for children very easy to learn. Any part in the Qur'an that has a story, you can take it and teach it. It's not necessary. There's nothing in the Qur'an that tells us we have to begin from here to begin from here. You have to understand that when the Qur'an was revealed to Muhammad ﷺ, it was not in that order, right? You know that. It was in that order. There's nothing in the Qur'an that tells us that you begin from Surah An-Nas before Surah Al-Baqarah, for example. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's nothing. It's human beings like you and like me who said, okay, let's do this way, and after this moment, they are impacting us. I would say it differently. But I don't know who is going to give you the authority or the power to change the curriculum. This is another problem that you will confront in schools. Nobody's going to give you an open check to do this. To go do whatever you want. And you have to fight for this to take it. Say that according to me, and that's why you can redo the syllabus. Yeah, I'm not going to focus on this. In terms of understanding, Surah Al-Fil, just few pictures, 6 or 7 pictures with you. You can teach it to the children. They memorize it. They understand it. They go back home and explain it to their parents. Even if they are 3 years or they cannot do this with Surah Al-Falaq. They cannot do this with Surah Al-Ikhlas. Do you see my point? So it's not necessary to follow the track of the Qur'an. You select whatever you think that's simple for them, 4, 5, 6 ayat, and teach them. It may sound very strange, and I'm saying it in front of the whole world, but it is very, very beneficial. This is effective use of time. While the children are growing, right, you are using these moments to let them understand, to help them understand. We'll continue our discussion after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Don't go away.
Where truth is hidden and misleading quotations create confusion. Where truth is hidden, lack of knowledge and wisdom cause upheaval and commotion. Where truth is hidden, manipulated scriptures and twisted facts emerge. This very hidden truth creates false propaganda, mayhem, chaos, disorder, and turmoil in our lives and the world order. But is there anyone with courage and wisdom? What is the truth, and who has the courage to expose it? Because it's your right to know the truth.
Watch truth prevail and lies perish in Truth Exposed by Dr. Zakir Naik every Saturday to Thursday at 9 p.m. and repeat telecast at 7:30 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV. Osama El Shami.
How can we get our children ready for the month of Ramadan? Sharing the stories of what the Muslims have been through in the past, in particular the first generation.
Nazir Irfan Al Mujahid.
Make this Ramadan very special to them.
Your taqwa, your righteousness, your goodness.
I want you to tell me about your experiences from the very first Ramadan that you experienced as a new Muslim.
The first Ramadan I experienced was amazing.
Umar Debua.
When I embraced Islam, it was like I was prepared. You know, Allah prepared me for something that I had no idea. It was an amazing experience. Beautiful, beautiful.
My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to our program, The Straight Path.
Build your character on the path of the Qur'an and Sunnah in The Straight Path. Every Wednesday and Saturday at 3 p.m. and repeat telecast at 1 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's continue our discussion. Yes, we had two issues here raised here. Can you please raise yours?
Yes, Sheikh. I've seen this in my own experience, that if you go to a non-Muslim place like a hospital or something, and you're waiting over there in a queue for the doctor's turn for you to visit the doctor, you have this background music of their scriptures in a very low tone. And by the time you're sitting over there, you happen to repeat it. Can we use this in school, where you have this Qur'an being recited in a very slow rhythmic manner, and the student, they're doing some work, but at the same time they're even repeating those words?
I think there's something very important, but we'll talk about using the Qur'an as a background, right? This is again 100% against Islamic ruling. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Qur'an, فَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. Whenever the Qur'an is recited, right, listen to it attentively. That's why sometimes we are in a car of a human being, of a Muslim, and we are, yes, he's playing Qur'an and he starts opening a matter and we discuss it. Okay, when are you going to come tomorrow? And Allah is speaking and you are putting him in the background. If you reflect upon this meaning, it's very insulting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is speaking to you, right? And you don't pay attention to him. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ one time was walking in the street and there was a woman sitting in one corner and she was reciting the Quran herself. And he was passing by her. And she's saying like, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة. Then the Prophet ﷺ stopped. She was not talking to him. And he stopped and he looked at her and he said, نعم أتاني, نعم أتاني. She was saying that, have you heard the news of the day of judgment? This is the verse. This is what the verse says. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية. So he stopped and he responded to her. He said, yes, it came to me, and he started crying. This is the response. You cannot cry if you don't reflect upon what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Oh, the whole world is one place, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is what we have to learn how to respect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the background. And remember what's happening around us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in a verse that Wallahu a'lam. Allahu a'lam. Allah knows best. Even if all the research in the world says that if you make it in the background, it will affect you and you will learn more, we will not take it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows more than all the human beings together. So this is the difference between us and others. This is a very important question. We've seen it in many cultures, but alhamdulillah, with the spread of correct knowledge, now it started to fade. Alhamdulillah. Good question. I think there was other two questions here. Yes, please. No questions? Good? No understanding? I think you were discussing something, sister.
I was just asking, sir, is it possible not that the child learns the translation, the meaning of the word, since that's not his mother tongue,
Yes.
before understanding it?
It would be a wonderful job. And I think, inshallah, every Muslim will owe you something, any of you. If you work on a project selecting the easiest to go to the little bit difficult and the most difficult. Select the verses that can children understand before others. Like I said, that Surah Al-Fil, Surah Al-Masad, the first 10 ayat of Surah Al-Rahman. I'm going to teach you, all of you, these verses today, inshallah. Inshallah. Yeah, so because they are very easy to understand. Okay, so if somebody works in the Quran would select 20 or 30 verses in the Quran. I don't say chapters. It's not necessary to be a chapter. It can be part of a chapter. Put them in order and say that this is the best order, and he would test them with some children, right? And he will come up with this list. And it would be put in a curriculum, or at least to be published, and we can benefit from it. I think anyone can do this. 2 people work together, 3 people work together, spending some time. Yes, they can come up with this. And we are giving some time for the child to grow up, because the moment the child grows up, he starts understanding, right, concepts. So at that time, we can go back and teach him verses. I didn't recall that I memorized the Quran in a specific. I didn't memorize the whole Quran. I wouldn't say that I memorized the Quran in a specific order. No. Yeah, there are some verses, yes, that because of the Imams usually recite them more frequently, we memorize them. So, but it is the importance of going back and checking the meaning. Are we clear now on some grounds, or still have some questions? Please do.
This is just to go back to what you said about playing the Quran as a background. I'm sure, but I just want to confirm from you that that means the Quran cannot be played while doing any other work. You have to listen attentively to the Quran. For example, a woman, when she's cooking, she cannot listen to the Quran while cooking.
A woman who is cooking, she can. Why? Right? Because the cooking, it becomes a mechanic act, right? Let's say that all my work is arranging these things here. So I'm taking this book here and putting it here. It doesn't take any mental focus on it.
There's
right?
no other distraction, you mean to say?
There's no distraction,
okay.
Right? So if the act that you're doing is a mechanic act, right? Like driving. When you drive, right? It becomes, right, a mechanic act. You don't need a lot of focus in driving. You can listen. You can listen to the Quran. But you cannot talk to a person and respond and comprehend what he says to you while you are listening to the Quran. Do you see the point? Yes. And this is, again, a very good question. In fact, I advise women who work in the kitchen, right, to do this. But I don't advise them when they are correcting students' paper, they would be listening to the Quran, because they have only one heart, either with the Quran. But now I'm not using my heart at all. Even I am blind. If I am blind, I can take this and put it here. It doesn't need any attention at all. It becomes automatic. Good. Other questions? We need to discuss others before we get into the understanding. Now, remember when we said understanding, because it's all the Quran is concept. So we understand that most of the Quran would fall into the area of concept. It's not knowledge. Perhaps 80% or more of the Quran are concepts. Every verse almost has a concept in it, and we need to understand it. Do you see what I'm saying? So the amount of knowledge in the Quran may be very limited. For example, the number of years of Ahl al-Kahf stayed in the cave, the number of, this is the knowledge, but everything in the Quran is a concept almost. So that's why Quran means focusing on understanding. The other one is the skill, how to deal with the skill in the Quran. For example, al-Shamsiyya, it is a skill, it's not a knowledge. If you ask me about what are the letters that constitute the al-Shamsiyya group, it's difficult for me to remember them, right? But I never make a mistake in them because I mastered, right, all of them. So now let's do something related to this. The sheen, for example, sheen, whenever you have alif lam before sheen sound, right, you don't pronounce the lam. So like shams, what would you say? الشمس شباك
الشباك
الشباك شمسية
الشمسية
شمال
الشمال.
And we can use hundreds of words like this. Now you got the skill. We acquire knowledge by memorization. We acquire a skill by practice. We acquire or we learn a concept by understanding. Very clear. And that's why we said that in dealing with the Quran, because most of it is concepts, right? That's why we need to understand. Understanding, by the way, becomes a problem when you are grown up. Because all the time when you learn, you ask why. These questions that begin with why, they make you more aware and more conscious. And that's why children learn quicker than we do, especially in languages. And Quran is part of it, is a language, right? Because children are not conscious. They learn it like that, very quickly, as a skill. And that's what we need to do. But the grown-ups, like you and me, all the time ask, why is it this way? Why is it that? Why it is وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا, not وَالشَّمْسُ? Because of this question. The children would not ask this question. وَالشَّمْسِ وَالشَّمْسِ. That's it. They don't ask you why, right? Whereas in other verses, right, you would find it is الشَّمْسُ, right? الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. We're going to study today. الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. The children would not ask you, why is this, why is this? But the old people ask you, the grown-up people. And the more questions that you have, it delays your memorization. And that's why when I want to memorize one page of the Quran, it may take me 3 hours. From my child, who is 7 years old, it takes him perhaps 20 minutes to memorize it, or 30 minutes. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, because we have lots of things are interfering in the process of memorization. Definitely our understanding is better, right? But the amount we memorize is very limited. It becomes easier for the child to learn because there is not a lot of things that confuses and distracts him or her. The older we get, all the problems in the world come to us. Children don't think of the problems of traveling, getting a ticket, being late to job. Yes, being late and the students are there and everybody is criticizing. They don't think of that. But you as an adult think of this, the consequences of this. And based on this, there is no minds, right, to be distracted. Yeah, and that's why the earlier the better for them before they start knowing games and other things that would distract them. And even people, when they study, there are some proofs that even this lady that helped her daughter, her name is Reem. And I think if you write something on the internet, Reem, and the memorization of the Quran, you will reach this girl who memorized it 7 years and a half. And she asked me what to do next. I said that let her learn Arabic. She was very serious. She trusted me very much anyway. She took her daughter to Egypt. After 6 months, her daughter came back to Texas, and she became the translator of a teacher, yes, who teaches women, yes, in the mosque. 6 months, she learned the language. Yes. Children learn languages very quickly. Yes, my kids in Indonesia, I went before them to Indonesia and I stayed 6 months without my family, learning the language, hiring the best tutor in the world to teach me Indonesian. And then when they came after a month, they spoke better than I did. Yes, I think it's an interesting topic. Inshallah, we'll stop here and we'll continue in the coming episode. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Little baby, pure and small, He created you, He created us all. Hush, little baby.